It is round, it weighs slightly less than 20 grams. And if we talk measurements, it's slightly under 3 centimeters in height, with a diameter of just over 4. Here is the introduction of the macaron, small and not particularly heavy, yet an essential delight for the past 10 years. Able to keep people longing for a long, long time. In the Saint-Germain-des-Prés district, in front of a famous establishment, a line stretches down the street, with a good half-hour wait before the seller begins the introductions.
Foie gras chocolat, foie gras fig with lentils, mogador, passion fruit milk chocolate.
Following that, we proceed directly to Eden, which offers an original twist. Wasabi cream served with candied grapefruit.
Around 20 exotic flavors, each sorted meticulously by distinct color like candies. However, it's slightly more expensive. At €1.85 per piece, this indulgence certainly doesn't come cheap, but the macaron seems to be completely crisis-proof.
Take the box of 12.
In this shop, they sell 60 kilograms of macarons per day, which is on average 1 kilogram every 10 minutes.
It's unique and reminiscent. In 2 bites, the first 4. Yes, I will like the second 4.
It's delicious, and room for 4 more, please. 2 with rose, yes, foie gras.
Foie gras, yes. What's a bit more unexpected is even more interesting because there we truly travel. You usually don't expect to be able to eat avocado in a macaron, so when you eventually taste it, it surprisingly goes down very well.
A star pastry created by celebrated pastry chefs. We meet them just as we would a famous writer or a star actor. On the Champs-Élysées, a signing session. It's a long wait before catching a glimpse of Pierre Hermé, the macaron virtuoso.
I'm from Montreal, and we constantly talk about you and people who come to do internships with you.
They call him the Picasso of pastry. His book on macarons is already sold out, and people come from all over the world to seek his advice like an oracle. A brief encounter. Zoltan is hoping to receive some valuable advice from a Hungarian pastry chef.
It's the secret of the macaron. The secret of the macaron. There are many. At each step in the making of the macaron, there are important things.
After honing his skills at Le Nôtre and Fauchon, the Alsatian has made a name for himself by leading a macaron revolution for the past 10 years.
Drawing from what I already knew, coffee, chocolate, vanilla, and raspberry macarons, I began imagining new flavors, creatively blending different tastes, and combining 2, 3, or even up to 4 flavors together. Who each time? Associate, overlap, following a scenario that I have determined in advance. This is considered the house's signature macaron with flavors of rose, lychee, and raspberry. He's the master of macarons.
Yet Pierre Hermé has some prestigious competitors, such as Ladurée, situated further down the Champs-Élysées. 15 years ago, a businessman bought this historic pastry shop. It had been around since 1862, but it was a bit dormant. He woke it up. We went from 6 macarons, always the same ones, to 15. 14 different flavors constantly renewed. They serve as the emblem of the house, and they are prominently featured on the dedicated macaron page of the Japanese Guide by Yuki and Mimo.
Take a look. It's noted in my guidebook right here. These particular macarons, I absolutely must make an effort to purchase them at this specific shop.
And once again, it's an entire ritual. In an Art Deco setting, Yuki and Mimo have to navigate around the
velvet red rope while waiting and keenly eyeing out for an available vendor. One might nearly get the impression that we're at the auction. Null.
The macaron counter stock is visibly decreasing as the eager gourmets are going to buy and devour about 10,000 macarons in just one day. Naturally, behind the scenes, there's a lot of hustle and bustle going on. The behind the scenes are in the Paris suburbs, in a brand new factory. And it's a machine that takes care of shaping perfectly round macarons. Philippe Andrieux, the pastry chef, is guiding the tour. Here, 50 employees rotate shifts for 16 hours a day and even work 3 shifts during the holidays. They weren't originally destined to become the absolute kings of upholstery craftsmanship.
In reality, they came here to assist us. We have trained them in cleaning duties, pastry skills, and they actively help us with filling the macarons. We have multiplied macaron production by 10 in 10 years.
Growth that necessitated the group to adapt. The company sells 500 kilograms of macarons daily across its 4 Parisian shops. Certain flavors take 3 full days to produce. Consequently, that's almost 25,000 cookies carefully stored in a refrigerated vault before they are actually delivered. It's hard to imagine that a decade ago, the macaron was merely a little almond meringue treat that no one talked about. Today, everyone is doing it. At Dalloyau, 10 million macarons sold per year. At Mulot, they offer them a bit bigger. The macaron has even made it to the popular neighborhoods. Arnaud Larère, best craftsman of France, is based in the 18th district. A competition that stimulates creativity. Here is the designer's den. Here, Pierre Hermé creates cakes like one creates coats. Like selecting a fabric, he picks his chocolate. Then, like a fashion designer, he sketches.
So yes, when it comes to incorporating blackcurrant, cake, chocolate, and more blackcurrant, I always take the time to carefully sketch out the cakes. Once I'm satisfied with the illustration, I proceed to write the detailed recipe right below the drawing.
I've kept these drawings for years. All my drawings, recipes, and archives have been stored for 20 years.
A sketch, followed by a detailed recipe on letterheaded paper, and at the end of everything. So what does this gesture truly signify?
It's merely a stamp that belongs to me. Yeah. It acts as a signature for the recipe and the drawing.
The master's signature touch. To prevent any potential counterfeiting, because in the world of pastry making, it is actually impossible to patent a recipe, much like you would for any other type of invention. And the competition is definitely working too, with advisors who are not necessarily pastry chefs by profession. At Ladurée, Safia Thomas attends all the meetings. She is the marketing director.
We keep going right now with on the yellow-green in relation to the Easter collection.
She worked in fashion for Sonia Rykiel and Thierry Mugler. She was headhunted, she applies the same methods. Before embarking on yellow, with a bergamot-flavored macaron and boxes of that identical hue, she meticulously observed the fashion designer's runway shows.
We went with this yellow idea.
The shoe we found amazing, so we thought, there you go.
There.
We had a yellow shoe. There were several in the yellow dress collections that we found quite nice.
We went with the yellow idea.
And for the creation of the black macaron, it was Safia Thomas who had the idea. She looked at the trends, the zeitgeist. The pastry chef adapted. There was a lot of black in the collections. We didn't have any black whatsoever in our range of macaron colors.
Exactly.
We started with this idea, and Philippe thought about a color.
There is always a scent associated with a color, so the black macaron was somewhat obvious. It's true that we went straight into licorice and it worked wonderfully from the very start.
After buying those delicious macarons, a few individuals decided they wanted to learn how to make them. It takes place here, around the countertop. 5 amateurs listened to Jonathan Blau, a former pastry chef of a Michelin-starred restaurant.
We're going to make what's called the macaronade. So this is the base of our macaron.
They are expected to wait on a list for about 3 to 5 months and will pay €90 for the 3-hour duration of this cooking workshop. Very attentive around the workbench, there is Françoise, a retiree, and Sébastien, a 28-year-old nurse who has never set foot in the kitchen but would like to save money on baking.
We're going to make a grabber to take them. I've eaten in restaurants with a display of macarons.
I grab one, I can see clearly. I absolutely love macarons. So I've already tried it at home, and generally they're too soft, and so they don't rise.
Tips and expert tricks from a chef, that's what they are really asking for. Step by step, Jonathan will be there to guide them. They've already mixed the almond powder, the icing sugar, and a bit of food coloring.
For optimal results, choose either powdered colorings or those conveniently pre-diluted in vials.
But to form shells, that's not enough. You need to make an Italian meringue. Whisked egg whites on one side, and on the other, hot sugar to be monitored, down to the degree.
We're interested in its level of strength.
We then carefully blend the colored sugar into the beaten egg whites.
Robot on at full speed. And we pour our sugar between the bowl and the whisk.
And like magic,
You see, we have a beautiful Italian standard. Very shiny, very colorful.
all that's left is to sketch his badge. And that's where the creative artists come into play.
Who speaks to my left? It's the right-hander. To my left, I only see crap.
That's truly superb. If you're feeling unsure, you might notice it creates these little tiny zits or marks on the surface over there.
But after 3 hours of application, you eventually see some very shiny, well-rounded shells emerge. Let's go for 8 minutes in the oven at 155 degrees. Now just fill and assemble the shells. It's ready and they look like real and beautiful macarons.
It's the result of all those dedicated hours spent in hard work. Just take a look at it. Isn't that simply wonderful? It really is extremely well done.
Nice, huh? The beginners successfully made raspberry, coffee, chocolate. They can enroll in the advanced amateur course. On the menu, we have delightful pop art macarons with distinct flavors like poppy and bubblegum.